Yes.
Let us all pray for a moment. Heavenly Father, we just pause this moment to lift you up in our prayers. We want to thank you for this opportunity we have together as board members and staff of this department. Lord, we just thank you for how you're leading us, serving your people. Father, we just ask your blessings on this meeting as we do your will. We lift this up in Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brittany, you're going to do the roll call.
Congressional District 1, Ann Purcell. Present. 2, Kathy Williams. Here. 3, Dennis McIntyre.
Present.
4, Robert Brown.
Yeah, present.
5, Stacy Key.
Present.
6, Rudy Bowen.
Here.
7, Kurt Thompson.
Here.
8, Tim Golden.
Here.
9, Emily Dunn. 10, Jamie Boswell.
Here.
11, Jeff Lewis.
Here.
12, Greg Morris. 13, Dana Lemon. 14, Micah Gravely.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's motion for approval of minutes.
So moved.
Okay.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Albert Silver to confirm forward.
So, good morning, Chairman, Commissioner, members of the board. We're here to present the projects the department is proposing to advertise for the May 2023 letting. So, before we present May, here are the FY 2023 results. We have led a total of 223 projects in fiscal year 23. This chart shows the number of projects by improvement type. The value of these 223 projects is approximately $1.447 billion through the March 2023 bid awards, with 219 GDOT LET projects worth approximately $1.39 billion and 4 local LET projects worth $56.7 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type, with maintenance, bridge, and road projects covering the majority. Here are the results of the March 2023 letting. Of the 23 GDOT LET contracts presented to the board, 21 were awarded, 1 was rejected, and 1 was withdrawn. Both of those were resurfacing projects. Now I'm going to discuss the projects in the May 2023 letting. We have a total of 26 projects, 25 are GDOT LET, and 1 is local LET. The next 3 slides list those 25 non-TIA projects arranged by congressional district.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Would this be appropriate time on the individual projects? Y'all got to teach me.
Sure.
So I just have a question about those projects that say bridge replacement with no added capacity.
Yes, ma'am.
In light of HB 189. Is that the best course of action, or do we look at some point in the near future when it gets signed of actually adding some capacity to these bridge replacements?
So the capacity would be meaning adding lanes, not structural capacity. So these are designed to a higher standard that would be compliant with HB 189. So the capacity is width instead of strength.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So as you can see with this slide, we are letting a variety of projects throughout the state to address bridge capacity, enhancement, maintenance, and safety issues. The first highlighted project will widen State Route 25, which is also US 17, from the existing 2 lanes to a 4-lane facility from Heavy Driggers Boulevard to State Route 99 in Glenn County. The overall length of the project is 1.78 miles. This next project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on General Gordon Road over Gin Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1964, which was 59 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This next project will resurface State Route 219 from State Route 116 to Troup County for a length of 8.79 miles. This section was last resurfaced back in 2005, 18 years ago. This next project is located at the intersection of State Route 20, West Hightower Trail, and Chandler Road. This project will consist of replacing the stop-controlled intersection with a single-lane roundabout. This project will improve safety and provide continuous flow at the intersection. This next project is also a roundabout at the intersection of State Route 90 and Lower Rebecca Road. It will consist of replacing the stop-controlled intersection with a roundabout, which will be single lane, and again will improve safety and provide continuous flow at that intersection. And this is a third roundabout at Langston Chapel Road and Harville Road. This next project will widen State Route 85 from State Route 279 in Fayette County to Roberts Drive in Clayton County from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. The overall length of the project is 3.9 miles, and this project is being delivered with state dollars. The final project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 1, which is US 27, over Lake Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1937, 86 years ago. Mm. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced.
Morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Commissioner, other members of the board. I'm here to present the TIA project for the May letting. We have one project in the letting. Is Devaney Road minor widening and a bridge replacement in Brooks County. That is in the southern Georgia region. This is a Band 2 project, and it is on schedule. It is also located in Congressional District 8. This project will be connecting, is a local connector road that ties State Route 76 to US 84. It's approximately 2.1 miles. We'll do shoulder widening on this project, resurfacing and replace the bridge over the Ocapilco Creek tributary, which was originally built in 1922, a 101-year-old bridge. This represents an approximate investment of $4 million in the southern Georgia region. And here is a ground view of the bridge over the Ocapilco Creek. Mm. All right.
Glad you can pronounce that. So we have 26 projects proposed in the May 2023 letting, with 25 GDOT let and 1 local let. This chart shows a distribution by improvement types. The estimate of the projects in the May 2023 letting is approximately $174.9 million. This chart shows a dollar amount distribution by improvement type. I now ask for your consideration for approval of the proposed projects presented for the May 2023 letting.
That's a motion. So moved. Second. Second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning.
Commissioner, members of the board, pleased to come before you this morning to bring you proposed revisions to the construction work program. Have one project to bring to you this morning. It is an addition to the work program, a roadway project in Clark County, Congressional Districts 9 and 10. I brought this before you last month for review, and so it comes back to you this month for board action. So I'd be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, Mr. Chairman, it'll be for you to recommend approval.
Are there any questions? Is that a motion? Okay. Second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion is approved. Thank you. Commissioner.
All right, good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board.
Good morning.
Welcome, new board members. All right. Come with sound effects. No worries. Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to be before you, and again, welcome Kathy, Micah, and Kurt. Thank you all for serving, and it's a pleasure to present to you today the Commissioner's Report. And as I do, we start with, as Angela presided a budget yesterday, I always like to bring you up to date on the state fund collections for the last month, being March, of which $175.2 million of transportation funds were collected. The breakdown on that was $157 million in excise, $18.2 million in the transportation fees that constitute the hotel tax, EV fee, heavy vehicle fee, of transportation fees. So that brought, again, our total to $175 million collected. Obviously hard to compare to this time last year due to suspension of the excise tax, but if we look back to fiscal year 21 at the same time for March, it's about $1 million less collected than it was back in fiscal year 21. So pretty much on track, not much deviation there at all. So that's good news again for the budget going forward. The next thing I'd like to highlight is our staffing levels. The very best of GDOT's our staff, and as we're continuing to fill jobs, I have a positive report here. As the end of last month, 3,811 full-time employees. We hired 66 employees and had 52 separations last month. So again, this is the first time we've been back to 3,800 employees in a very long time. So we are trying to build back, and again, the target, trying to build back toward 4,000 employees is the goal. So that's a positive report. Next, just to highlight the professional services procurements that have happened last month. The procurements are the support we need to deliver projects, as we heavily outsource most of our work. So these are the contracts for design, engineering, right-of-way support, environmental, geotechnical analysis, basically the work that's necessary to get to you to bid, to approve the projects to be bid. So what we outsourced last month was 127 contracts valued at $60.9 million. So that was the work we did last month to get consultants and contractors on board to help us. That brings our fiscal year to date number to 1,239 contracts executed, valued at $590 million. So again, we're on track for another banner year of consultant service work. Now let me move into projects, just a few projects that were completed last month I'll bring to your attention to highlight. And for our new board members, the list of all projects completed could be very long. We just try to boil it down and highlight a few projects of interest around the state. So we'll start with capital bridge replacement project on a local road, just like you approved just a minute ago on a local road. This is in Congressional District 12 in GDOT District 5. In Evans County, it's Daisy Neville's Highway over Thick Creek. Gregory Bridge Contractor was the contractor. It represents a $1.6 million investment for this county road bridge replacement. And as I like to say, we're proud that this one opened ahead of schedule. And you can see the construction on the left, which is a little bit innovative. This is how we can do bridges quick with these box beams. You see the beams and sort of make the deck, and then you simply have to do some work, but then you ultimately just pave over it. And so it makes for a pretty quick solution there. So a great outcome there. Now let me move into Congressional District 2 in Webster County, which is our GDOT District 3, which is another capital bridge replacement project. This time it's construction of a bridge and approaches on US 280 over Kinchafoonee Creek. This contractor was Southern Concrete Construction Company. It represents a $6.3 million capital bridge replacement project cost. And this project also opened ahead of schedule. Again, US 280, which is also State Route 27. So we're going to stay on the US 280 theme and also move over into stay in Congressional District 2, this time in Chattahoochee County, which is also GDOT District 3. It's another capital bridge replacement on US 280, this time over Bagley Creek. The contractor for this project was Oxford Construction Company. This project represents a $7.3 million investment of dual bridges. As you can see, there's two bridges there on 520. So glad to have this project, and 520's got a lot of bridge love in Congressional District 2. So Kathy, you've done fantastic on getting these projects done. All right.
Yeah.
Let's jump from the southern part of the state up to the Congressional District 9, all the way into the very northeast corner of our state in Rabun County, up in GDOT District 1, another local bridge replacement project, Cat Gap Road over the Tallulah River. Folks, this is a very beautiful place. It is a wonderful little spot. The contractor is Palmetto Infrastructure. It represents a $3.5 million capital bridge replacement cost. And as you can see there, under construction in the finished product. And that's sort of hard to see, but that is the Tallulah River. It's pretty wide, and it's a beautiful little spot in the world if you ever get up there. We're glad to have that project complete. Next, we'll move into our intermodal project completed since we were together. And this is in Congressional District 2 again, down in Albany, Daugherty County, GDOT District 4. And this is a transportation center that officially opened on March 27th. The West Oglethorpe Boulevard facility will be the center point for bus, the Greyhound lines service, as well as taxis and ride shares, as well as bike share. This facility also has charging stations for wireless internet, computer access, and meeting rooms for the public to use as well. So it's not only just a transit hub, but also becomes a little bit of a community center as well. The contractor was LRA Constructors. This was a GDOT award of Federal Transit Administration funding, and additional funding, in fact, to complete the project at $13.2 million. So, again, another great investment for our connected intermodal work there in the city of Albany. So that completes the projects that opened the traffic since we were together. Let me transition, as I always like to do, into some updates of things that have been going on in the department, recognition and awards and as such. And let me start with this, where GDOT was just recently recognized for the work we've done in the Office of Environmental, I got to think about this, Inter-Office Environmental Quality, which is something we have presented to you before, but I was very honored to be recognized by Federal Highways Executive Director Gloria Shepard in a meeting in Washington, where she had shared with Mitch Landrieu, who is the Senior Advisor to the President for Infrastructure, what Georgia DOT had been doing with our Interagency Office of Environmental Quality. See, that rolls off the tongue a lot better. I got it right that time. And that is where GDOT funds federal positions in resource agencies like U.S. Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, National Marine Fisheries, as well as we fund positions at Georgia DNR, State Historic Preservation Office, to work on our projects. But as you recall, several of you, if you go back several years now, back before COVID, we actually were able to work with all those federal agencies and state agencies to co-locate that staff here in One Georgia Center in a way that makes for a lot more efficiency in review, conversation, and a lot more effectiveness in better environmental documents that we have to obtain. And so this was really a highlight. We were totally caught off guard, and when Gloria Shepherd shared that with Mitch Landrieu at a meeting we were attending, the White House reached out to us this week, and we had a call with Haral Patel, Meg Perkle, and Eric Duff, who leads the Office of Environmental Services. So we're able to share what we did. It sounds sort of simple, that why don't you convene people and get people together, and it works better. You know, working together works, as the saying goes. But it was a lot of work, and we're the only state in the nation that does this. So we were very honored. What they shared with us, the senior advisor shared with us that they plan to use Georgia as the model to share with other states, and also to share this with the other secretaries of the cabinet, not just the Department of Transportation, Secretary of Department of Transportation, but Secretary of Interior, etc. So as a model to be used. So it was quite an honor to have that call this week with the White House on this issue. So very good. That's just bragging, by the way. So yeah. All right, just something breaking news that just happened yesterday is a great partnership with Atlanta Regional Commission and GDOT. Worked on Building Georgia, which is really a workforce summit, and we hosted that summit at the Atlanta Metropolitan State College, just right down the road here. Had a little over 100 people, right at 100 people from various sectors. We had public sector, obviously DOT, many counties and cities were there. We had private sector, such as the contracting industry that builds the infrastructure project. We had education. We had high schools and the technical college system of Georgia represented, and had many nonprofits that are in workforce development. And I'll remind you that the nonprofit that we use a lot is Goodwill. Most people think of Goodwill as thrift stores, but no, they're actually workforce development. And so we had a wonderful turnout. You can see here there was a couple of moderated panel discussions. Anna Roach is on the left, the executive director of the Atlanta Regional Commission. I give her total credit for making this happen. When Anna came into the role at Atlanta Regional Commission, we're sitting there, I'm talking about all the things going on. If you think about what Hartsfield-Jackson International has going on from their capital program, several $1 billion over the next 5 years, I think like $3.5 billion over the next 5 years or so. What MARTA has going on in their capital programs with the More MARTA program and the expansion and the things that they're doing, which is billions of dollars. And then you couple that with what we've done, especially with the MMIP, which is tens of billions. If I've been saying millions, they're billions on those numbers. But so when you start thinking about that, Anna was like, that is a lot of workforce need. And obviously we know unemployment in Georgia right now is hovering about 3% or maybe slightly less. And so workforce is a challenge, as I talked about on us trying to build our staff back. So Anna took that conversation and became actionable. The Atlanta Regional Commission, as well as other regional commissions, have workforce boards. And so she's really focused on how do we collaborate and bring people together. And so yesterday was really about a synergy of all the people that are doing workforce development, which is everybody, to bring them together, share their ideas, understand what each organization is doing, and then how can we leverage that together, especially from a communication point of view of what everybody's doing with skilled craftsmen, trades, construction industry. We were focused yesterday mainly on transportation. But as we talked about, there are so many transferable skills from vertical building, home building, residential, commercial building. Those skills are all transferable, and we all need more workers and skilled workers. And so it was a really good outcome. So it was from 8:30 to 12:30 yesterday, extremely well attended. And then the takeaways were sort of some question answers to inform the ARC how do we move forward together and then have some more follow-ups and, again, try to leverage each other's capabilities to grow the workforce. So really a great honor, and, again, hats off to the Atlanta Regional Commission and Anna's leadership to make it happen. They had us co-hosting, but really they did all the work. I'll just be candid. So we're very well attended. So investing in our employees and growing talent is always critical. And so in that same spirit, I'm excited to announce that we had two of our staff, Clement Solomon, who is the Division Director of Intermodal, and Kelvin Mullins, who's our District 1 District Engineer, participate in the AASHTO Executive Institute held up in Washington, D.C., just beginning March 20th through the 23rd, for just 3 quick days. This Executive Institute is a senior level professional development training focused on the needs of senior leadership and executive responsibilities. Clement and Kelvin participated alongside many of their leaders across the nation and peers and worked together on some common challenges and opportunities. They had wonderful opportunities to do hill visits with the policy people that work for the congressional staff that actually write the transportation bills. You know, if you want some excitement, you know, read a transportation bill, you know, so, but it's really a great insight that they have to be able to understand sort of the mechanics of how transportation bills are developed, the content and the like. And the best thing, again, out of that is you can find Clement and Kelvin in that picture somewhere, over by Waldo, is that those relationships that you build from your counterparts across the nation, and having somebody that's in your shoes in another state you can call and or, you know, chat with is really a great benefit as well. I participated in this many years ago, and I'm still friends with the people that were in that group from other states, and so it's a great opportunity. So excited for them to have that opportunity, and we'll continue to invest in our employees that continue to grow our leadership capabilities and potential. But not only do we have to continue to grow and develop our staff, we have to continue to provide opportunities to share our knowledge with others. And I just wanted to highlight that GDOT hosted the Spring National Concrete Consortium Conference. That's a mouthful as well. National Concrete Consortium Conference. So they call it NC Squared. We've got abbreviations for everything. So NC Squared is a national forum of concrete pavement research and technology transfer initiatives. The spring meeting was held down in Savannah and included practitioners from across the country, representing DOTs from across the countries, but producers, suppliers, and contractors who all collaborate on the latest in concrete materials and concrete pavement technology construction. The meeting also included a tour and a site visit of a roller compacted concrete project that's over by the Port of Savannah in the Port Wentworth area, where we actually constructed roller compacted concrete several years ago as part of the Jimmy DeLoach project. And so in this photo here, you might find somebody you know. Mm-hmm. We had a great representation, including Marty Edge, Philip Snyder, Jacob Walker, Carl Parker, Jason Waters, Alfonso Hill, Amanda Sheldon, Rusty Branch, and our concrete pavement expert, Ann Purcell. So Ann was there to kick off the conference, and then our Deputy Commissioner, Brad Saxon, was there to provide opening comments, along with his counterpart, Dan Miller, from the Ohio DOT. So again, a national conference held right here in Georgia, and we're able to have our folks participate, share information about the things we're doing in Georgia, and again, continue to learn the best practices as it relates to concrete paving. So very good outcomes. And Ann, thank you for being there. Kicked that off, a great event.
Yes.
So let's stay down in the Savannah area since we're talking about Savannah. And this is a report of a major milestone on our I-16, I-95 interchange project. This didn't make the open for traffic, but this is a major milestone because we opened one of the new turbine bridge ramps that carries I-16 westbound, leaving Savannah, with a new ramp and flyover that accesses either I-95 northbound, but also mainly I-95 southbound, to get rid of the old antiquated loop ramps that traffic and trucks have a hard time navigating. And so great, this opened up just recently. Got a lot of attention, obviously, as this project's been under construction now for several years, and a major project here that's really focused on moving freight and people safely through this very busy intersection of I-16 and I-95. So I'd like to show you a news
For
story.
anyone who drives on I-95 or I-16 near Savannah, especially at that interchange, just hours, you're going to be able to drive on a brand-new bridge ramp connecting the two major interstates. Our Max Dinknight joins us now. Max, that's great news for drivers because obviously traffic delays from construction have been going on there for quite some time.
Yeah, Mike, this has been 3 years in the making. Transportation officials say this puts us one step closer to better flowing traffic in that area. Now let's take a look at the new bridge, a closer look. The high-flying exit ramp will connect drivers on I-16 West to I-95 South. That partial turbine bridge replaces the current cloverleaf ramp and should give people more time to merge. This project, again, took almost 3 years from start to finish, but GDOT officials say it's the first of its kind in the entire state, and they are calling that a major milestone.
Well, it's an innovative solution. It provides a more direct connection. So this is about a 1,900-foot long bridge. It's going to replace the old cloverleaf ramp that people were used to having to make sort of a quick decision to dart in and out. So it's going to be a lot smoother transition to get you to either 95 southbound or 95 northbound.
Crews will officially open the bridge overnight tonight, meaning it will be open for Friday's morning rush. A second turbine bridge ramp connecting I-95 southbound traffic with I-16 eastbound is expected to open up later this year. Mike?
All right, just to highlight that, I know Ann was very involved and had several meetings, and it's been well received. It certainly has improved the operations of that interchange, but we still have more work to do down there. So if you're leaving Savannah and need to get I-95, pay attention because you got to exit way early to get on a parallel road, and then you can go 95 northbound or southbound. But it certainly has made an improvement already just in that busy interchange. So more to come. We'll look forward to the announcement of open to traffic when I report that earlier in the board meeting. So looking forward to that day. Well, I just talked about the call we had with the White House about our Office of Environmental Services and the great work they did. I wanted to bring you this information too of a really neat opportunity where GDOT joined in with multi-sector partnerships to focus on some candidate conservation agreements regarding the monarch butterfly of all things. In fact, we joined in a partnership that now totals 1.8 million acres of land over 45 states in 24 organizations and agencies and businesses, all focused on the monarch butterfly conservation. Called the Nationwide Candidate Conservation Agreement for Monarch Butterflies on Energy and Transportation Lands. This agreement is really unprecedented in its scope and participation across energy and transportation sectors, focused on protecting the habitat or creating habitat that keeps monarch butterflies in the eastern United States from basically becoming endangered, believe it or not. In fact, in the last 20 years, there's been about an 80% reduction in loss of lands containing the native flowers and the things that attract the monarch butterflies that they need for food. And so GDOT is a participant in this agreement, as well as adapted our land and our vegetation management processes, which is mowing and herbicides and the like, such that we can preserve the habitat necessary for the butterflies. So this, again, is a very big step for this process, such that it doesn't become a federally listed species, which becomes very problematic for us to do projects when there's threatened endangered species that get listed. So congratulations for OES for being forward-leaning and thinking ahead and preserving, again, our right-of-ways and roadsides, which can be habitat for butterflies. So again, congratulations to them. Now, regrettably, I keep having to give this kind of report each month of our storm response recovery. And again, GDOT District 3, the Thomaston District Office, has been extremely busy in response to storms starting late last month or going back really to February. It's been very consistent dealing with tornadoes and storms. And in fact, late last month, a tornado hit Troup County and Meriwether counties. It was a Category EF3 tornado, had 500 yards width of destruction in many areas, traveled almost 22 miles along a path, and stayed on the ground for more than 30 minutes. With EF3 is 150 mile an hour plus winds, so significant tornado and storm damage. As I understand, there was no life lost, which is a blessing, obviously. Also, with that storm, 10 inches of rain, so in a short period of time, so a tremendous amount of flooding and damage there as well. As a result, the governor did issue an executive emergency, a declaration of state of emergency from March 26th to April 3rd. And as always, our GDOT men and women showed up to clear the roadways as soon as they could, as soon as it was safe. Obviously, sometimes we have to wait for power lines to be cleared out of the trees as well. And did a lot of work, again, helping out on the local roads as well during the declaration. So just in total for that storm event, let's see, make sure I say this right. In total, we had 149 workers working 6,435 hours. 6 employees also inspected 30 bridges due to the flooding in 3 days. The thing about inspecting bridges after flooding, you actually have to wait till the water recedes. So a lot of these bridges stayed closed because we didn't know the condition of them until the water can recede that we can actually do the inspection. So a lot of work done there. We had 38 employees committed to reporting to work over the weekend. We got a call on a Saturday afternoon that said we need more help on Sunday. And our District 3 people Saturday afternoon said we'll be there Sunday morning, and they got to work. So a fantastic dedication and commitment. I give you this number that typically in Georgia there's 25 to 30 tornadoes in a given year. So far there's been 32 tornadoes in Georgia just this far in 2023. So we're way above pace, regrettably. And unfortunately, this month is the busiest year for tornadoes historically in Georgia. So let's knock on wood and hopefully we are past the worst. I give you these statistics too because, like I said, this has been an ongoing monthly report, it seems like, of what we're doing to help our fellow Georgians recover from storms and tornadoes. Since January 12th this year, we've worked 22 days under state of emergency by the governor. We've hauled 3,619 loads of debris. We've had 519 employees work over almost 44,000 hours helping our fellow citizens in Georgia. So hats off to our district staff, our state maintenance office, everybody involved. And when I say everybody, it's everybody. It's our administration folks with supplies and materials. It's the people doing the work along the roadways and shoulders in dangerous situations, I might remind you. So just again, especially District 3 has been hard hit this calendar year. So always the first thing we tell them and focus on is their safety, their personal safety, is that we want to make sure that they're safe doing this dangerous work in responding, and certainly appreciate their focus on safety. So let's transition to, there's another picture of storm cleanup. And let's focus on safety again, as always, our top priority, and really excited to let you know that we completed our last 2 safe driving summits for the school year. It's hard to believe that high schools are about over. So we had one take place last week at Georgia Tech and another one up at Kennesaw State University. As a reminder, we partner with Let's See 43 Foundation to educate the young drivers across the state on safe driving practices by bringing them together to participate in speaker presentations and especially that immersive experience with first responders and the medical professionals. That medical simulation of what happens if you're in a car accident really is impactful to the students and impactful for us when we see it as well. Georgia Tech Summit was a little bit different than how we traditionally bring high school students in. It was more an hour sort of drop-in, campus drop-in, targeted to the college students. So, we've been focused on high school. So here's an opportunity for college students as well. And while you're on a college campus, you might better recruit. So we turned that into some recruiting as well. Focus on safety, and had a good number of students drop in and was engaged and interested, and then, again, tell them to come across the street and come to work. The other, again, the other was up at Kennesaw State and had a lot of the high school students, again, our traditional approach with Let's See 43. So certainly want to thank Mike Luxenkirchen for all his work and his dedication and commitment for safety. And as we talked about yesterday at the committee meetings, it is National Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. I want to thank you all for everybody oranging out yesterday. That was great to see so much orange in here. This is a partnership, though, that's led by NHTSA, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and all the state DOTs. This is our focus this week across the nation. Along with other organizations, you know, we've been observing this week to really raise the public consciousness about work zone safety. This year's theme was Work With Us, You Play a Role in Work Zone Safety, which again is the focus for motorists that when their role they play going through work zones is absolutely critical. You know, most of our employees by percentage do not work in an office. They work out on the roadways of Georgia. And so just again emphasizing that criticality and reminding people of how much people we have working out there. The other focus has been speed. Speed is concerning. Our signs say speed limits, but I think people take that as like speed recommendations, right? Because speed is so high now, and it's a big concern. And you see that in the type of crashes that I will report on in a minute. But again, to reflect on the mission of during Work Zone Safety Awareness Week, we spent time, you know, sharing this targeted messaging internally with our employees, but also doing a lot to the traveling public by social media, traditional print media, and the like. So, and also an article in the Extra Mile. So, I'll give you these numbers. In 2022, there was 12,640 work zone related crashes in Georgia. Let me say again, 12,640 crashes happened in a work zone, resulting in 4,236 injuries and 57 fatalities in work zones in Georgia, which is just unacceptable. 52% of those work zone crashes were roadway departure or rear end crashes, meaning somebody ran off the road or ran into the back of somebody. So speed is that contributing factor of people running into the back of people. As traffic slows down, as they should, people from behind often don't slow down, and their rear end folks, obviously causing crashes, harm, injuries, and ultimately fatalities. So the other part of Work Zone Safety Week is a reminder of the 61 GDOT employees who've lost their life since we started tracking this back in 1973. And if you do that math, that's better than one a year, regrettably. So this is a list of those employees. The last name on the bottom right is Sean Karnacki. If you remember, Sean passed away this year responding to storm damage, an unfortunate tree incident. So he is the latest addition to this list, and I would just like to conclude with a moment of silence. If you would look at these names and put those families of these people that never went home that worked at GDOT doing their job in your hearts and prayers. We'll just take a brief moment of silence. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. I'll be glad to entertain any questions or comments.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you. Ms. Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Legislative Committee convened yesterday at 1:30. Board members present included myself, Golden, Lewis, Boswell, Williams, McIntyre, Brown, Key, Boeing, Thompson, Dunn, and Ms. Lemon. The first order of business, Josh Waller, our Director of Public and Government Affairs, provided an overview summary of the 2023 legislative session. Abby Conrad, Policy and Government Affairs Specialist, discussed the road and bridge dedications presented to the governor, while Josh covered the final versions of the truck weights bill, the electric vehicle charging bill, and GDOT's annual housekeeping bill. The governor has until May the 8th to sign, veto, or allow a bill to become a law without signature. There was no action taken by the committee, and I adjourned the meeting at 1:58 p.m. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Ms. Dunn?
Yes, thank you. The Finance Committee convened on April 19, 2023 at 2:00 p.m. Board members present included McIntyre, myself, Purcell, Bowen, Williams, Brown, Key, Thompson, Golden, Boswell, Lewis, and Ms. Lemon. Our first order of business was Angela Whitworth, our treasurer, presented the as-passed 2024 budget. She reported that the revenue for the conference committee version of the 2024 budget increased by a total of almost $177.5 million. This reflects an increase of just over $119 million in excise, $51.3 million in transportation trust fees, and almost $7.7 million in transit trust fund fees, and a reduction of over $656,000 in the state general funds. There was no action, and I adjourned the meeting at 2:18 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The P3 committee convened on April 19, 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Board members present included Bowen, Key, Lewis, Dunn, Boswell, Purcell, Williams, McIntyre, Brown, Thompson, Golden, and Lemon. First order of business, Bo Corliss, GDOT P3 Division Program Manager, presented an update on the I-20, I-285 East Interchange in DeKalb County. Mr. Corliss gave an overview of the East Interchange project scope, which involves the full reconstruction of the interchange. Following the scope overview, it was presented on past project milestones and activities that are underway since issuing notice to proceed in 2022, as well as upcoming construction activities. Second order of business, Matthew Fowler, GDOT P3 Division Program Manager, presented an update on the I-20, I-285 West Interchange in Fulton and Cobb counties. Mr. Fowler gave an overview of the benefits of the P3 partnership projects, along with the various steps associated with delivering a P3 project. Mr. Fowler then gave an overview of the West Interchange project scope, work done to date, and on outreach with elected officials, key stakeholders, the general public, and others. Mr. Fowler then spoke on major project milestones and upcoming activities. Mr. Fowler then requested the P3 committee approve the GDOT/CERTA joint resolution, which is the framework for delivering the project between GDOT and CERTA, and present the joint resolution to the State Transportation Board on Thursday, April 20th, 2023 for approval, which is today. And to that end, Mr. Chair, the P3 committee brings that in the form of a motion for board approval.
A second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Chairman Bowen called for the motion, of course, and it was seconded by me, and it was unanimously approved by the committee, and there have been no further actions. We adjourned at 2:50 p.m. yesterday. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Lewis. All right, Ms. Purcell?
The Committee of the Whole convened yesterday afternoon at 3 p.m. Board members present were Brown, Purcell, Williams, Key, Bowen, McIntyre, Thompson, Golden, Dunn, Boswell, Lewis, and Lemon. Our first order of business was the District 7 engineer, Paul Denard, provided an update on GDOT's District 7. He highlighted success in the area of customer service and local agency partnership with the number of inquiries received and an increased productivity in issuing GDOT permits. Several key projects were highlighted, including widenings, interchange improvements, lighting projects, roundabouts, quick response safety projects, and others. An update of the district maintenance activities was presented that included information on the ITD budget, the pavement preservation, sound wall repairs, vegetation management, and litter pickup. Our second order of business, we had our Assistant State Transportation Engineer, Christina Berry, to provide us an overview of the National Electric Vehicle infrastructure program. This program was created as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law with the goal of creating a nationwide network of DC fast chargers. The presentation covered an overview of the federal requirements and progress that GDOT has made to this date. This plan with GDOT was published and received approval in 2022. The presentation concluded with an overview of the procurement approach and a milestone timeline. There was no action taken at this time by the committee, and it was adjourned at 3:50 p.m., Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions? Any new business? That means stands adjourned. Okay. Good talk.